Hey, Colabcoach here again to share some wise words of wisdom for the week. So excited to get into this topic. As you know, for 2026, we're talking about things that many people go through, and you've heard this with friends, you've seen this on social media, but they don't really talk about certain topics in a healthy way, and that's what we're here to do. So that's your disclaimer. Now, the topic we're talking about today is you depend on one person too much. And I'm not just talking about intimate relationships, which definitely is possible, but maybe depend on your parents too much. You depend on a friend too much. You depend on a cousin too much, a coworker too much. You depend on maybe church too much. And I'm here to say dependency on one person or one entity is not healthy. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're in a committed relationship, if you are in a relationship with family, friends, whoever it may be, it is okay to depend on them to an extent. What I mean by that is that sometimes we can't do it all by ourselves. We can't figure out things all by ourselves. We need other people's perspectives. Shoot, I wrote a whole book, Fresh Eyes Solve Problems Easier, the Self-Love Relationship Project, because it literally is teaching you how to gain a new perspective on things that you may not even know about. And you may not even realize because of the fact that you focus on things your own way too much. That's a possibility. But sometimes, not necessarily you, but if it is you, you depend on people too much. You depend on their opinions a lot. You depend on their approval. You depend on if they like certain things, if they don't like certain things. Do they want this for me? Do they not? A lot of times we could figure out things for ourselves, yes. But when you depend solely on one person or entity too much, it becomes overbearing to that person. Sometimes people are vocal, they'll express it, they'll say it out loud. Hey, I can't do all of this for you. But sometimes there are people who don't say it out loud. But that's when you have to be accountable with yourself. You have to be accountable with yourself and realize, hey, maybe I'm depending on this person too much. Maybe I'm pushing too much of this person. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Expectations are too high. I like a saying that I like to keep in my head is that to have no expectations. Not to say it's a negative or positive, but just to keep yourself in the middle ground because people will show you how much expectations you should have for them. And again, people are not perfect. So if one person is literally showing you that they are reliable, they are trustworthy, things of that nature, believe them. But if you see that somebody's not reliable, they're not trustworthy, they lie, they're not loyal, believe them. So have no expectations at first and no expectations throughout the extension of the relationship. But when they show you that you can have expectations for them, believe them. When they show you they cannot, you cannot have expectations for them, believe them. A lot of times we tend to make up a story or narrative of someone thinking that, oh, this is what I think that they are. But take people for their face value. Now, if they show you something else, respect is great. But at the same time, when they show you that they can't be depended on, when they show you that they're overwhelmed, when they show you that things are too much, when they show you that this is too much pressure, believe them. Believe them, and don't just try to have your way. A lot of times we tend to just focus on what we need, what we want, what has to be done, how this can be accomplished, what you have to do, things of that nature. But you're not really caring about that other individual, and you are tending to put a lot of pressure on that individual, even though you can see the signs that this person is exhausted. You can see the signs that this person has not gotten the rest that they needed to get. You can see that they're not really happy doing things for you. They're not really happy being there for you. They're just there as a soundboard, and that's not productive. That's not something that you want as a long term, because yeah, you'll get your temporary satisfaction, you get that temporary result, but at the same time, if you're constantly depending, it's not productive. It's not. I mean, they're not your parent, you're not their child. And if you are in a situation where you're watching this and you're depending a lot on your parent, or your parents depending a lot on you, then you need to have a conversation as well, because it's not going to be a happy relationship. It's not going to be a beneficial relationship. You're not going to grow in that relationship when it's just one sided. You can't live your life on one sided relationships. It's either going to crash and burn, or you'll see that person just disappear from your life and you're wondering, well, what happened to this person? They just got tired. They got tired and got tired of being sick and tired, as the saying goes. And we don't want that. You don't want that. You want to have sustainable, long lasting, growth filled relationships. You don't want to fall into this perspective of, dang, you're that person that depends on people too much and now people don't want to be around you too much. It's hard to hear. It's hard pill to swallow. I used to be someone that was a people pleaser, someone that was dependent on what other people thought. And I had to realize that that's not how you grow relationships. That's not how you keep relationships. That's not how you sustain relationships. You have to be able to balance each other out. And again, balance is not 50-50 all the time, 60-40, 80-20. But harmonizing with that person and making sure that they're good as well is the best way to sustain a relationship. Simple as that. So, to make this as simple as possible, you depend on one person too much, or you depend on an entity too much. It could be you depend on your significant other too much. You depend on your friends, your family, maybe the church too much. And I'm here to say that's not sustainable. Yes, you can depend on someone, but if you're depending on their approval, you're depending on what they want, what they don't want, you're depending on their satisfaction. It's not really a happy relationship. It's just a relationship that you're cohabitating in, and no one wants to be in a relationship where one person is depending on someone too long and the other person is not getting any satisfaction. Literally, that relationship is one-sided and it's not going to be long lasting. Trust me, I used to be a person that would want to seek people's approval, but I'm here to tell you that that doesn't lead to anything that's growth filled, that's going to be something that's long lasting and beneficial. You have to understand, if you're that person that you're depending too much on one person, you have to dial it back and ask that person, what do you want me to come to you with, versus you coming to that person all the time. And if you're the person that is getting dependent on too much and the person somebody keep coming to you, you have to acknowledge that and express boundaries and let them know, hey, you're depending too much on me here. I need to figure things out for myself. Remember, relationships are not perfect. You may have to balance things out here and there, maybe 60-40, 80-20, not always 50-50, but make sure you're trying to harmonize with that person, figure out what they want, what they don't want, and understanding that a relationship is not perfect. That person is not perfect. It's okay. As simple as that. So, to make this as simple as possible, if you're struggling with depending on one person for long periods of time and you need help, message me. Go on my website, colabcoach.com. Sign up for that free 15-minute coaching session. Fill out that relationship checklist to see if we're a good fit for each other. Facebook Collab Coaching, Instagram Collab Coaching, all my series, all my videos on YouTube, COLAB Coaching. Like, subscribe. Also, share this with anyone that you know is depending too much on you, or you're depending too much on that person, or you know somebody that's doing that. They need help. Please get them to help. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Have a wonderful day. Bye.